Dear respected Thầy, dear Sister Chan Khong, dear blood ancestors, spiritual ancestors, land ancestors, and dear beloved community. My name is Sister Boi Nghiêm, and my pronouns are she and her. I don't know why my heart is beating quite fast today. I don't know if it's the coffee that I drank, the hill that I climbed, or sitting next to Korean Beyonce. By the way, I'm known as Plum Village Oprah, if that helps. I'm so happy to be able to sit here with you today, and very special to sit next to Juliet Hwang, a Korean-American pediatrician. She came to the BIPOC retreat in 2004 at the age of 27. Who here is 27? Can you raise your hand? There you go, there you go. Maybe in 20 more years you will sit up here? Either as a monastic or as a lay Dharma teacher. And she was in her first year of residency in the pediatric field. And at the age of 33, she got married. Anyone here 33? Please don't get married. Be a monastic. You know, I'm recruiting. And this morning she was sharing with me that before getting married, Juliet and her fiancé went to Plum Village. So that was one of her requirements for her future husband. If you want to marry me, you have to go to Plum Village. Yes, it's really to show if your partner really loves you and commit to walk on the spiritual path. And they have been married for 15 years, have 2 beautiful children. Juliet knows how to bring Dharma into the drama. And she knows how to transform drama into the Dharma. And she was able to learn how to do that at the age of 27 in this meditation hall. It doesn't mean that she does not have any dramas now. She's also known as a drama creator. The good way, like Senator John would say, get yourself in good trouble. She knows how to do that. I'm done with your introduction. Now, you can introduce me and we can get to the Dharma talk.
Dear Shi-Om, dear Thai, dear beloved Sister Chan Khong, Sukho Boinim, and beautiful beloved community. My name is Juliet Hyunjung Hwang. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And Sister Boinim and I have known each other for several years, kind of in passing. Like, I had heard about her, and I think she had heard about me. But it wasn't until I was invited to the first BIPOC retreat at Magnolia Grove 2 years ago that I really got a chance to sit next to her and practice with her and laugh with her and see that she is a bodhisattva in action. a true embodiment of Thai. Every monastic is a true embodiment of Thai. And I could see her dual consciousness of a Vietnamese woman who fled Vietnam and growing up in Memphis, Tennessee, and being able to hold those two cultures and really being that bridge for the Vietnamese community and the American community. And also just an open-heartedness and a willingness to hear suffering, listen to it, and really transform it. And it's because of her advocacy, listening to the Black practitioners in Magnolia Grove, that the BIPOC retreat happened 2 years ago. And who was there 2 years ago? Yes, yes, with Sister Peace. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sister Peace has really been a phenomenal giant in this path as well. And so I walk in the footsteps of giants. And it was just an amazing experience being part of that first retreat. It was really special. It was very intimate, a lot of laughter and singing and crying. And she moved from Magnolia Grove to here, and now we are able to enjoy her richness, her deep listening, her ability to hold space, her advocacy among the monastic community. There was a lot of teaching, a lot of sangha building among the monastics for this retreat to manifest. So I really, yes, a lot of love, a lot of love. And she ordained 22 years ago. 2005. And she's part of the sunflower family. Yes, sunflowers. So, as she was saying, she's a sunflower and she's shooting out all her seeds. And the deepest teaching is she knows she's really good at what she does. She's like, I'm good. And when that voice comes up in me that says, oh, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, oh my gosh, I'm doing a Dharma talk with Sister Borneem, she like sprouts in the back of my mind, and I'm like, I'm good. And she's got a little spunk to her. So I really hope you get a chance to walk with her, walk alongside her, and she's a wonderful gardener of seeds.
Thank you so much, dear Juliet, for your kind and encouraging words and for your support, dear Sangha. Today is Mother's Day. So, anyone here are mothers? Can you raise your hand? Yes. Thank you for being mothers. Anyone here would like to become mothers? Raise your hand. That number is less. Why? I'm telling you, don't get married. It's full of suffering. Be like me, be a monastic. And it's a very joyful and loving day. At the same time, it's a very difficult and complicated day. Because when we say the word mother, for me, I feel so much love. And this is my mother. My mother was 64 when she passed away of colon cancer in 2014. Yet I carry with her in my heart every day. She never abandoned me. She loved me unconditionally. And every time I show her my love, she opened her arms and received it. And for that, I'm always grateful. But for Juliet, right? when we say the word mother. Juliet, how does that make you feel?
A lot of sadness. So this is how we're starting.
Today, we'll make you laugh and cry.
She goes right to the heart. In Korean, there's a saying that if you laugh and then you cry, you're going to pee in your pants.
Oh, no.
Oh, dear. I'm going to be a lot of peeing. Oh, thank you. I have to say, I was so nourished hearing about your mother. I had this image of you embracing, and it was so beautiful. I think it's hard because we grow up in America and there's this ideal of what a family is, very similar to the American dream, what a family is supposed to look like or feel like. I grew up with a little house on the prairie, and I didn't realize till later how messed up it was, and it was colonized, settler colonial mindset. But in my mind, that's what a mother and father were supposed to be, kind and loving. And it totally did not match what was going on in my home. Should we just go in? Or should I keep it short?
Keep it short so we can sing.
Keep it short. Oh, we have to sing. My mom was very busy surviving trauma. So she did not have the emotional capacity to embrace me, to love me in the way that I needed to. And she was always working. And so she was there physically, but she was not there emotionally. Definitely not to give hugs and to receive hugs. Still sadness.
So, dear friends, in the midst of the difficulties we have with our mothers, some of us, we don't have that mother figure in our life. And that is the fact. That is something that we also need to recognize. And we do have someone in our life that we consider as a mother, as a mom. Whether that is, a teacher at school, our auntie, our grandmother, or our grandparents, or our sister, our siblings, our Mother Earth. Mother means love. And if there's someone in our life that loves us, that is our mother. It doesn't have to be the person who gave birth to us. Yeah. And today, to celebrate Mother's Day, Juliet and I would like to sing 2 songs. These are the lullaby songs that perhaps that Juliet would often sing to her own children. And a Vietnamese song about mother's love. So I'd like to read the translation of the Korean song. Let's climb over the mountain. If it's too hard, let's stop and rest. If you can't go alone, let's go together. Let's climb over the mountain. If it's too hard, let's stop and rest. Let's hold hands and go together. And the Vietnamese song, this is translated by ChatGPT. You know what ChatGPT is? If not, I can give a Dharma talk on it. When mother sings to soothe her child, she sings with tenderness in her loving words, her loving words. Her lullabies carry within childhood dreams of hers. Her lullabies carry the hues of time's passing, mother enduring all weathers. Oh, mother's love, vast as the boundless sea. Oh, her words sweet as a folk melody. Through life, forever carried by me. Not bad for AI. So Juliet will start with the Korean.
So it's called Hollo Arirang. Arirang in general is a folk song that we sing in Korea. A lot of it references reunification. But really, every village in Korea has their own version of Arirang. And because I have such a difficult relationship with my own mother, my own journey of parenthood has been very conscious and difficult and rewarding. And so this is a song that I sing to my children every night. If you know it, please feel free to sing along. 아하리랑 아하리랑 홀로 아리랑 아리랑 고개를 넘어가 보자 가다가 힘들면 쉬어가더라도 못 가면 가보자 같이 가보자 아리랑 아리랑 홀로 아리랑 아리랑 고개를 넘어가 보자 가다가 힘들면 쉬어가더라도 손잡고 가보자 같이 가보자
감사합니다.
Come on.
Now in Vietnamese, Tin Mẹ by songwriter Nguyễn Hải. Let us close our eyes and think of our mother. Ngày nào mẹ ru con ngọt ngào lời yêu thương lời ru con mang theo xưa tuổi thơ có ước mơ của mẹ lời ru con mang theo có màu áo có tháng năm mẹ dãi dầu bao mưa nắng ôi tình mẹ dạt dào như biển cả bao la ôi lời mẹ ngọt ngào như một khúc dân ca suốt đời con mãi mang theo.
So this is my first formal Dharma talk. Thank you. And it feels like a wonderful homecoming. And I just want to thank all the beautiful people for actually coming. We've been planning this party for a long time, and all y'all showed up in all your beautiful colors and your energies and your deep suffering and your joy. And I'm so eternally grateful. Grateful for all the conditions, the loving monastics, the food, and just Mother Earth everywhere. It's very weird being called an OG. I guess I just want to share my story and how I showed up in your shoes 20 years ago. Like the sister said, I was first year in residency training, and it's kind of interesting how people with a history of trauma go into other systems where they inflict trauma on you, and then you just kind of keep going. But I was suffering greatly at that time. I had been dealing with a lot of anger towards my father. And I remember the first night of the Dharma hall. We all came into the room. And I had come because one of my best friends told me about it, and I was living in New York, and I flew out. And he talked about suffering. I was like, what is suffering? I don't know. I'm happy, I'm learning to be, I'm a doctor. Like, I have enough food. I have a car. I have friends. And he just talked about touching our suffering. And he showed us a path towards healing and liberation that I had never touched before. And I remember in the hall just hearing him speak and my heart melting, and all these tears just fell. Like, oh, what is this? What is this? Like Sister Valerie said, Maya Angelou said, you don't know what people say, but you remember how they made you feel. And I remember my heart just cracked open after living like a balled fist my whole life. I was born in Korea, and my parents were physicians at that time in Korea training, but it was under military rule, and my parents were born right before the Korean War. So they were refugees, survived the Korean War, and because of the military oppression in Korea, my father wanted to come to America and live the American dream. And so something that I've been dealing with a lot is just being ripped from my homeland. And up until then, my great-grandmother raised me until I was 1.5. And then we immigrated to the US, and I never saw her again. And so it was this separation, and then landing in a country where my parents did not speak the language, navigating racism and all the intergenerational trauma of colonialism, militarism, patriarchy, Confucianism, you name it, Koreans got it, And I think that's what resonated with Thay's teaching was he talked about living through the Vietnam War and the intergenerational trauma and seeing brothers kill brothers and families separated. And I was like, that's what happened during the Korean War, known as the Forgotten War in the US. And my parents, in their very unskillful ways, we grew up in a house riddled with violence and so much unskillfulness. And I grew up Korean Catholic, and Catholics are really good at making you internalize guilt and shame. So I got it on all angles. I was not good enough at home. I was not good enough at school. I was not good enough in church. and then kind of all these other structures that we live under. And it wasn't until I came to this practice that I realized all those structures had been absorbed by my body. All that oppression, colonialism, militarism, all that Islamophobia, homophobia, transphobia, everything that's in our society was in my body. And so this practice has been about softening the heart, slowly loosening my grip. I am shaking. And realizing, where did that come from? Where did that come from? And every time I have a voice in my head, where did that come from? It's either my mom's voice, that I did it wrong, I'm not good enough, or my father's voice, you're not good enough, you did it wrong. And then where did they get it? And where did they get it? And then as a physician, I was able to bring this understanding of healing is every step into my practice, and figuring out what does healing feel like in my body, because all those years I had been so dissociated to survive trauma. And so this practice has been all about embodiment, which I interpret as coming home to my body. Thay's greatest teaching during that first retreat was, I have arrived, I am home. What does it mean to arrive in this present moment, to really let go of the past, let go of the anxiety of the future, and just feel my body in the present moment? And sometimes feeling our body is too hard, and it's too scary, and it's really lonely. And that's where Sangha comes in. Sangha comes in, and it holds us. It gives us the energy that we don't have. Because if we get overwhelmed by despair, then they win, right? Their mission is to separate us, to create this sense of isolation and loneliness. That's what trauma does in our body and our minds. And what I have learned, and what I felt that first night, was Sangha reminds me that I am already whole. I am already beautiful just the way I am. And I just have to remember. And I am remembering. And sometimes I forget, and then Sangha brings me back. I forget, and then Sangha brings me back. And so when I took the five mindfulness trainings, I really internalized taking refuge in the Buddha, the Sangha, and the Dharma. And so that has been my aspiration since, is I felt held and safe for the first time. And that little girl never goes away. She's always here. And then I bring her close. And I introduce her to Sister Boy Nghiêm. And I introduce her to all her friends here. And lately my practice is, it was really scary and lonely. I was really scared and lonely for a long time. And now I'm creating a new reality. I was really scared and lonely for a long time. And now I'm creating a new reality. And now I go back and I sit with my 5-year-old child. And now I realize, oh, I was actually never alone. my ancestors were there and I just did not know. And I go back and I'm like, oh, there was something else there because I survived and I am here. And we have all survived and we are here. And it's a relearning. It's a reparenting every step. And things keep coming up and keep going down. How much time do I have left? 15 minutes. So this practice has been about holding my trauma, right? My fragmented self and putting myself back again. And I'm going to shift gears just for a little bit and bring in some science, because that's also something that helped me understand my body and trauma physiology. Instead of blaming myself, like, why couldn't I speak up? Why didn't I do something? Learning trauma physiologies, I'm learning my body couldn't. So I'm going to mindfully stand up. I'm going to mindfully walk. Can I have another bell? Thank you, Suko. I just took a moment and I just breathed into my feet. I was just aware that my feet are on the earth. So I'm going to go into a little trauma physiology. This may not be for everyone, and feel free to stand up, walk around. If there's something in your body that says, I don't want to hear this, I want you to honor it. This practice has shown me that in order to survive trauma, I had to leave my body. And now it's about creating spaces so that it's okay to be with my body now. So this is the polyvagal theory by Dr. Stephen Porges. We will email it out so you don't have to write it down. But in response to trauma, and trauma is anything that's overwhelming, too much, too fast, and too soon. It could be anything. Our body will respond in one of three ways. In medical school, we talked more about fight or flight. And with the polyvagal theory, the freeze was introduced. And in the animal kingdom, this is very, it makes a lot of sense. There's a threat coming, you can fight it, or you can run away. And in the wild, the animal, once the threat has passed, they stop and they shake all the hormones that were activated in order for you to be able to fight and flight. But in our society that is toxic, where there's always something coming at us, we don't have time to shake it off and come back to our green zone where we feel safe. And so in extreme times of trauma or fear, our body will go into freeze. And in that situation, you're stepping on the accelerator and you're trying to run away and fight, but then you're stepping on the brake at the same time. And that's actually the most taxing on our body. All the hormones are flooded and then it's stuck. And when you're in this situation, you can't think, things are cloudy, you feel really stuck. And in the trauma physiology world, we're dysregulated. We just can't come back to a feeling of safety. We can't shake it off. We're literally frozen. So for me, because I grew up in a household where the threat never left, I was stuck in freeze. And as a little girl, that made the most sense. I couldn't stand up to my father. There was addiction, there was mental illness, and there was a lot of rage. So I had no choice. This was actually the smart choice for my body for survival. And so for me, whenever I perceive shame or guilt or blame, which is what I received as a child, I go immediately to freeze. And so the question is always, and this is from my teacher from the Resilience Toolkit, N.K. Mendefo. She's a wonderful nurse midwife, African-American based in Los Angeles. Her question is, where are you in your nervous system? So whenever you're feeling overwhelmed or flooded, it's helpful to just pause and think, where am I in my nervous system? Without judgment, with a sense of curiosity. And if you figure out where you are, the next question is this response appropriate for this situation? Is this threat really as severe as my body is perceiving? And then you try to figure out if it's too much of a reaction, it is touching old seeds, or even intergenerational trauma. Something old has come up. And then this is the action step. What does my body need? What does my body need in this moment to feel safe? Fight, flight, or something just calm us down. And so for me, this is a practice. So it's mindfulness of the body. It's mindfulness of the body. It's just tracking my nervous system throughout the day. Where am I? Am I safe? Am I active right now? Do I need to take a breath? Do I need a hug or a hand on my shoulder? And this is where the love mantras come in. Sister Valerie showed it to us beautifully. Sometimes when I'm here, I need someone to say, darling, I am here for you, because my mother never said that. And so I put a hand on my heart and I say, darling, I'm here for you. And the difference between a practitioner and a non-practitioner is once you're in these states, the urge a lot of time is to take these feelings and dump it onto someone else. I don't want this shame. It feels horrible in my body, so I'm going to give it to the next person who walks through the door. I don't like this guilt. I'm going to give it to the next person I see. And so the task of a practitioner is you feel the arising of that anger, of that rage, of that freeze, and you figure out, what does my body need? How can I transform this? And we have to look at the roots of the suffering. But you cannot do it until you are still, until your body feels safe. And that's where we need Sangha. When we're stuck, we ask for help. Sangha will surround us, offer their loving, kind energy, because our nervous systems are always talking to each other. They're always talking to each other. And once we are calm and stable and still, that is where insight comes. That is where mindfulness comes. That is where the creativity comes. That is where the compassion comes. And this is where healing comes. If we are stuck in freeze, fight or flight, that is where illness happens. Autoimmune disease, cancer, all these things that people are suffering with. And so that's the thing about this practice is sometimes it's really hard to do it alone if we don't have this sense of groundedness, belonging, safety, especially if our caregivers were not kind to us. So we need to rewire our brain, reparent ourselves, and when it's hard, ask for help from the Sangha. Can I have a sound of the bell? Okay, 3 minutes. So I have my husband's permission to tell you, if we do not transform the fear and violence that have been passed down to us, it will manifest in our loved ones. So I was 27 when I took the first mindfulness trainings, and was 36 when I had my first daughter. And I had a very traumatic birth. And for those of you who, when you have a traumatic birth, all the old trauma seeds get woken up. No one told me that. I had to figure that out. And it's quite overwhelming taking care of a newborn, especially when your parents are not there. And so growing up, I was the eldest child. I was the translator, my mother's best friend, her protector, the mediator. You know, the child of immigrants, you know, we do a little bit of everything. And then going through that difficult experience and then having a newborn, I think it was just too much. It was too much for my little nervous system. And I didn't know how to ask for help because as a child, I couldn't. And so all this anger and rage surfaced. And who did I put it on? My loving husband. And it was very difficult. And in my mind, I would say, I would get so angry and upset. And I would say, oh, I'm practicing the 5 mindfulness trainings. I'm not saying anything out of anger. But actually, you know, it's not like I was tending to myself. It was like, screw you, I'm not talking to you. Wall moves up, and then I'm in the corner trying to protect my baby. And I had the perception that he was a perpetrator and I was a victim. So we were replaying old childhood traumas. And that's the thing is I justified the mindfulness trainings and I was very unskillful at that time. And I got a lot of help. And this was my path of healing. And over the years, my husband, unfortunately, it touched his traumas because his mom, he lost his father at a very early age, and his mom was lost to depression when he was 9. So he didn't have that mother figure. And so he was looking for care and from me, and I couldn't give it to him. So there was so much suffering on both sides. I think that's why we, chose each other. And over the years, and with a lot of help and a lot of commitment to each other and to the practice, every full moon, most full moons, we will sit and do the 5 awarenesses together because we made that commitment together. Even though we were angry, we would come back in some way. And we have our own language. When I can't speak or when we can't speak because we're so angry, we'll just hold the other person's hand and we'll give 3 squeezes. I love you. 사랑해. Because sometimes when we're so trapped and freeze, we can't even speak. And sometimes it's just that little tenderness that we need to remind ourselves that, oh, actually, this is old stuff. This is not his. All my rage for my father, I was misplacing. And all his rage, he was misplacing as well. And so I'm happy to say over the years, we've come to a beginning anew, a deeper understanding. And love for each other. And now I see him. I still have a lot of sorrow, but now I see him. I see him how he's just an amazing father. He raised our children. He made the sacrifice in his career to stay home and raise the kids. He rocked my children for every nap, because every time he laid them down, they would cry. And it is because of him that I am here. He supported me. You know, I would be up here talking, nursing, and then I would give the baby to my husband, and he would take care of the kids. He has been a huge pillar. And I am so proud of our family. I'm so thankful for the practice, for giving us a way and a path, for beginning anew, and forgiveness, and so much love. Because that's all we need. We just want to be seen, and we want to be held, and we want to be loved. Sometimes we just got to get out of our own way. Thank you for your beautiful presence, dear Sangha.
Thank you so much, Juliet. Deep bow of gratitude for your insights and for expressing gratitude to your husband. After hearing your sharing, I'd like to say, please get married. Life is short. Why live a single life? Why be a nun? Just kidding. It's wonderful to live with someone who practices with you, because it really makes a difference for ourselves and for our children, or for our family, and for the world. The topic today is engagement with courage and compassion. In Buddhism, the Buddha talked about Bi, Trí, Dũng. Bi is compassion, Trí is insight, Dũng is courage. And oftentimes, we forget wisdom or insight when we are compassionate. That's why we experience compassion fatigue, burnout, or expectation. So there should be wisdom in compassion. For example, for you to come to this retreat, you put everything aside in your daily life, your work, even your family, and be here. That's compassion and insight. We take time to rest during the day. I want all of you to know me as the napping nun. and the grateful nun. From 1:30 to 3, please don't talk to me. I need my nap time. And I'm practicing self-compassion and insight at the same time. Because it's impossible for me to continue my day non-stop. I need to rest. You need to rest. We need to rest. So the resting contains compassion and insight, and also courage. It takes a lot of courage to say no. As a BIPOC person, we happen to please people because we're afraid that others will judge us as a whole. Let's say if I'm mean, if I'm not kind, or if I say no, this person might think all monastics are like that, all Asians are like that. You see, that's the suffering that we face as a BIPOC community, that if we make a mistake or if we do something unskillfully, people will blame that on the whole community. Whereas if a white person does it, it is only that person. This is white supremacy. So it's important that as BIPOC community, we come together like this. Black, Asian, Indigenous, Latinx, multiracial, we come together, we hold hands. We give each other words of encouragement, saying that you're beautiful. When an Asian person holds up the sign, Black Lives Matter, there is courage, compassion, insight. When a Latinx, Black, Indigenous, multiracial people go for a march for anti-Asian hate, we're helping to dismantle white supremacy. That is the power of coming together. I was deeply moved when I saw this togetherness during the pandemic, after the killing of 6 Asian women in Atlanta, after the murder of George Floyd, that we came together as a BIPOC community, and that today we come together. You know what makes me happy? To see diversity like this in our community. So please, when we see another person in our life, we practice the practice of the Bodhisattva, Sadapariputta. The Bodhisattva who sees others, that they have the potential to be the Buddha. And you are a Buddha to be. I see this potential in you, this quality in you. So that we slowly transform this anti-Blackness in us, this anti-Asian in us, this hate in us. And when we practice to see other people as Buddha, we keep our compassion alive. The greatest loss of a person is when we injured our own compassion. Our teacher wrote the song, Alone Again. Remember, brother, man is not our enemy. And Dr. King also say, I fight against racism, injustice, but I don't hate white people. And I use that as a teaching, as a practice. And what does it mean to engage? First of all, like Juliet said, we learn to engage in our body. Whether the body is short like mine, but I got spiritual height. Whether the face has wrinkle, but you know, one of my sisters say that the wrinkles on her face are like birds' feet, and the birds only choose solid trees to stand on. Engage in our body, in the color of our skin, because that's our ancestors. It's something that I don't want anyone to take away or disrespect. My skin carries my heritage, my legacy, my eyes too. So I learned to be engaged with myself first, with my ancestors. And if somebody comes and say something like, Sister Boy Nghiêm, your eyes are very unfriendly today. Your eyes look sad today. And I can silently say, you are partly right. But I'm not like that every day. That's the power of being engaged, is to be present. And it's also to open to learn and ask for help, like Juliet shared. Engage here doesn't mean engage in social justice only. Engage here doesn't mean to go on a march, to be in an encampment at university. Because if we are not able to engage in our own body, if we are not able to engage ourselves when we look in the mirror, if we are not able to say, I love you, to ourselves, then it's very difficult for us to engage in the social movement. The movement makes up, the moments make up the movement. Please remember that. The moments make up the movement. Each moment in our daily life, whether when we are alone with our family or when we are with other people, that moment is the present moment. It is the most important moment in our life. So we come back to our breathing. Our breathing is our best friend. For so many years in our life, people come and go, but our breath has always been there. Have we ever thanked our breath for being there? Think about it. And next time, if we say, there's nothing about me that I appreciate or that I want to engage. Well, as a whole, it might be difficult, right? But find parts in our body that we can engage with. For example, our teeth. When I eat my food, I am engaged with my teeth with courage and compassion. So happy to have teeth to chew my food. I don't have a toothache. And even if we don't have teeth, celebrate that. We were born without teeth. So it's okay to end our life without teeth. That's what an elder shared with me when I visit the nursing home. I was born without teeth and I was fine. So it's okay now I don't have teeth. Could someone help me with the board, please? To turn it around on this side. Compassion, our teachers say, is a verb. It's not a noun. Right? So what are we doing in our daily life to have compassion? Sometimes we need to start doing for compassion to be present. For example, if in the past, this inner critic mind judge ourselves, blame ourselves, then right now, we can start to invite the Buddha inside to criticize ourselves. If it's a Buddha criticizing, how would the Buddha do it? If it's mindfulness criticizing, how would mindfulness do it? Then in that, compassion will be present. We often invite criticism to criticize, anger to criticize. This time, because we have wisdom in our compassion, we invite peace to criticize, invite the Buddha to criticize, because the foundation will be love. And sometimes we need to stop. We need to stop telling ourselves, okay, Sister Boy Nghiêm, that's enough. I have to tell myself that a lot. Like in sitting meditation, my mind just go all over the place. And I say, okay, Sister Boy Nghiêm, that's enough. Just come back to this Ocean of Peace meditation hall and breathe. And if in my meditation I think about my ex-boyfriend, I say to myself, I know you're there. Breathe with me, no blaming. I recognize the fact that, okay, I'm thinking about my boyfriend, ex. I'm thinking about the memories I'm being caught in the past. Okay, come back to this moment. Come back to the Sangha. And let the Sangha embrace me in this present moment. I'm doing that with so much courage and compassion, not blaming. And on the board, I asked Sister Trang Tao Ngo to write this tree along with the leaves, the branches, and the roots. If we look closely at the tree, and especially at the leaves, we would see that hardly any leaves touch one another. They give each other space. And yet, they depend on the branches, and they have the same roots. Imagine we are the leaves. We are very visible. We receive the sun, the rain, the hail, the thunderstorm. We receive it all. So we face a lot as a leaf. But do we know that the tree without the leaves the tree will die. The leaves play a very vital role to nourish the roots of a tree. And oftentimes, when we think about a tree, we only see the big branches. We only see the roots of the tree, and we downplay the role of the leaves. If the leaves are not able to absorb sunshine, then it cannot nourish other leaves and the branches of the tree and the roots. And so we are the leaves. allow the beauty of life to nourish us and not just the trauma, the suffering, or the difficulties. We deserve to be nourished by the beauty of life, by our own love, and most importantly, by the healthy dialogue we have with ourselves. When was the last time we say, I'm very grateful for the decision you choose to practice spirituality in your life, or being a mindful person? Why is it that we can send a text to someone and say thank you, but we can't do that with ourselves? If next time you experience romantic rejection, see yourself as your own best friend. If your best friend is going through a romantic rejection, what would you say to your best friend? Then say that to yourself. And be happy that that person rejects you, rather than having a person in your relationship that does not love you, that takes advantage of you, that lies to you that, oh, I love you, you are everything in my life, and yet it is just lip service. That's courage. That's compassion. So we are the leaves. We have a very important role to nourish the tree. And next time when you walk by a tree, and if you are tall enough like me, you touch a leaf with so much gentleness and care, so that in moments of solitude or with other people, we learn to hold our two hands as if we are caressing the leaves. We have 2 leaves, right? Or 10 leaves. These are the hands of our ancestors. We use it to heal our body and our mind. So if there's a wound in our body, place our hand on that wound as if you are caressing a leaf, and let the wound know, I know you are suffering and I'm here for you. If we're able to do this with the wound, with our anger, then compassion will maintain with someone who is very greedy, find different ways to have more money despite of what is happening to our Mother Earth. It's very difficult to change a person. We know how long it took for us to change ourselves, right? So we cannot expect a business person to change overnight. It's difficult. But what we can do is, okay, I'm just going to come home and take care of my anger right now. Because we know that anger cannot solve anything. How many times have we heard this? And yet anger continues to be there. And engage with our family. My nibblings, nieces and nephews, teach me a lot. And do you know how it feels when a young person, a teenager in your family comes to you and say, Auntie, I have a secret to tell you. And at that time, I would breathe very hard. I would come back to my breathing and aware of my heartbeat. Because you know, when a teenager say that, you have no idea what's going to happen next. And he say, can I tell you a secret? I have a girlfriend. and she's black. It takes a lot of trust and care for my nephew to say that to me, because I was the only adult in the family that he could share that with. He was able to share that with his sister and his cousins, but not with his parents. And it's something that I love. I sat there and I listened to his happiness. And I say, thank you for letting me know. I would love to have a Zoom call with your girlfriend and with you. And we had 3 or 4 Zoom calls like that. And I would share with him, how to respect your girlfriend and be there for her. And how to take care of your sexual energy so that you don't hurt her. So please, when a young person comes to you and shares with you a secret, just prepare yourself. It might not be what you think, Engage. And so a friend here shared that compassion for myself as I search for my roots. What are your roots? Beside our ancestors, what other roots do we have? Our courage and our compassion also have their roots. So what nutriments are we feeding for the roots to be strong and expand over time? Like Prophet Jung shared, spend time with like-minded people. It's selective, it's not discrimination, it's not toxic positivity. When I know I'm not stable and peaceful, it's very difficult for me to hang out with people who think negatively and who have so much anger. I can't do that. So these days, I want to surround myself with people that are committed to the practice, that have great love in Sangha building, and that can laugh, that come to the monastery over and over and over again. Because I need that nourishment in my life. It's just an alarm clock. And I want to write this word here so that we all can see. Because this word is very close to social justice. And this is what I discovered. Protest. Pro, what does it mean? Something that you are very good at. You're an expert. Test is to see our ability to respond to certain things. When we are a pro musician, we do it so naturally, right? We still need to practice. When we are a pro at driving, we still have to open our eyes and drive. We can't close our eyes. And we are testing to see how mindful we are. So when we join a protest, a march, an encampment, it is a time for us to test how pro we are with our mindfulness, with our ability to be compassionate and show up with courage, not with violence. Right? Like last night, when families come up and sing songs to show our solidarity with our Palestinian friends. There was so much compassion, courage, and peace, and that's what we need. When Palestinians are free, a mother can walk to the marketplace and buy food for her children. When Palestinians are free, children grow and buy new clothes. Protest is to test how pro we are in showing compassion and peace to the cause that we are passionate about. And the word fight, when we think of the word fight, what image comes up in it? I would see two people fighting, and my body would become dysregulate. I'm fighting racism. So let's change the word fight to I'm taking care of, or I help to transform, or I help to end instead of fight. Because the word fight is too violent for our body and for our own mind. And we're still doing the same work. So it's the same with our anger. We don't fight with our anger, right? We take care of our anger. Let the Buddha in us take care of our anger, take care of our rage. Invite Thầy to sit next to us when we are angry. If Thầy is there, what would we do? And that's the power of being engaged with our emotions. And sometimes it's very difficult for us to do it. So we invite someone who is more solid to do it with us. And it could be someone in our family or co-workers. And if we don't have anyone at that time, we can say silently, Thầy, please be here with me. Do it for me. And today is Mother's Day. And I want to share this short story before I end. My niece had a big fight with her mother just 2 weeks ago. And she was so angry that she said to her mom, I want to die. My sister is not someone who practices mindfulness, so she also has a lot of anger and rage. And her response really shocked my niece. And she said to her daughter, go and kill yourself. And my niece was trembling when she heard that. And she called her cousin, cried, and shared her feelings. And when I knew about this, I called home and spoke to my niece. As a nun, I can help few people, but it's different when I can help my own family. I listened to her, and I could hear her anger and her rage toward her sister. And I say, you have the right to be angry, because what she said is just so unkind, so harsh. And at the same time, I invite my niece to do a practice that every day, please think of a loving action that your mom did for you when you were under 5 years old. I witnessed her change your diaper. I witnessed her making sure you were not cold on those winter nights when you left the car. You might not remember all this, but I witnessed all that. A few days later, I call her again and I say, can you share with me a gratitude you have for your mother? And she say, yeah, I'm grateful that she braided my hair when I was in kindergarten. I wanted to water that seed in my niece, still aware of the anger she has toward her mom. But I know that that anger will not lead to anywhere. So I encourage her to practice gratitude. And I share, my niece, if you see your mom in the kitchen, please just say hi to her. That's all you have to do. And if your mom comes home from grocery shopping, please help her to carry the grocery bags inside. That's all you have to do. Beginning new can start with something small like that. And dear friends, here's one more thing. There are people in our life that we have difficult relationship with. This can be our family members or our colleagues. But always remember this. This person might be there to give a lending hand when I'm going through some challenging time. Let's say if at workplace, I was treated unkind by another coworker, this person might step in to say something. If at the grocery store, someone hit me, this person might be there to ask, how are you doing? I see this real. So don't push anyone out of your life, because you are injuring your compassion when you do that. Especially if this is of family members. I remind myself this practice with my own father. He said yes every time I ask him for help. We have disagreement. And when he asks for my help, I also say yes, even when we have disagreement. And when our family members ask for our help, consider that as a gift. Of course, if they demand too much, it's a different thing. Oftentimes, when we see a stranger on the street and they're struggling, we would help them. We don't do background check on them, right? Compassion just flows naturally. So it's okay to consider our family members a stranger sometime, so that the compassion in us is not injured. If it's difficult to consider this person as a family member right now, then consider them as a stranger. It is only compassion, love, that makes life more meaningful. Thank you, dear Sangha, for your listening. Let us listen to one sound of the bell.